Hello, UCAR. Peter Christensen here, coming to you from the CEO's desk. Whew! Happy 2019 to you. It's going to be a good one. I'm feeling good. Maybe it's the Martinelli's still in my system. I don't know, but I'm feeling good. So I decided to do something a little different for the 2019 because that's what you do on January 3rd. You do something different. I'm going to do a themed approach to these little messages. So I thought we'd start off with January, the beginning. It's a very good place to start, so I've heard. We're going to start with the basics. We're going to start with the REPC itself. So this month, these messages will be dedicated to the REPC. So I'm going to start with a simple concept. That is acceptance of the REPC. So contract law in Utah says that you can decide as the offeror of a contract how your offer can be accepted. Well, we've just taken that and put it into the REPC itself. So you need two things to happen in order to accept an offer in the form of the REPC. You need it to be signed and communicated. So both things, right? So if you had an instance where it's signed and the buyer who offered it calls and says, "Oh, by the way, I rescind that offer. I'm not gonna I'm gonna take that off the table," and the seller says, "Wait, but I signed it." It's only half of the acceptance needed, right? So you have to have it communicated before that. So that would be technically withdrawn, and the seller can no longer accept it. So signed and accepted by what? The deadline. There's an acceptance deadline. So what happens? We know 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock is the acceptance deadline by default. So what happens if you, as a buyer or seller, you accept it after 5 o'clock? What happens then? Well, technically, the offer is no longer valid. So you don't have a valid contract. Did you hear that horn? I heard that horn. We'll keep going. But you will, so parties can reinvigorate it by what? They can offer the same terms back in a counter offer. Because remember, it is an acceptance deadline, not a response deadline. So we get those terms mixed up a little. Oh, you sent me a counter offer after the acceptance deadline. That means your counter offer is no good. Not true. The counter offer takes on a life of itself, so it's still totally valid. But you do technically need to accept it by the acceptance deadline, or the offer is no longer there. So keep it clean. If you're going beyond that deadline, or you notice somebody has I almost said respond, has accepted an addendum or the REPC after the deadline, then clear it up with an addendum. Clear it up that you're accepting the terms with this new addendum, so that you don't have that lingering out there wondering, do we have a valid contract or not. Hopefully that's clear. It's a little heavier than I wanted to go for so early in January, but we'll focus more on the REPC for the rest of this month, and we'll see what February brings. I'm going to keep that a secret, what the theme of February is going to be. So go, have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.